I remember in my very first year of teaching, I took all the standards for English, math, science, social studies. I laid them out into this big chart. I tried to map out the entire course of a school year with my first grade class. That was my first year. And I was just thinking, man, this seems enormous because actually, if you look at the standards, you'll see that there's sometimes 180 standards in one of these subject areas in the year. I contacted my mentor and I said, to go through all of these in a year just seems very fast. It seems like a waste of time. Why are we doing this? What would you recommend? And this guy, an award-winning teacher of the year out of Puerto Rico, the very first headmaster of a Ivy League sponsored charter school in the United States, and my mentor said to me, here's the secret. Nobody goes through all of them. It's all made up. You just do your best. And at the time I thought, oh, that's maybe that's just permission for me to ease back. But it was so important because you do see that. And one of the ways that you see that pretty clearly playing out in something like math. So often what happens, because teachers are in schools where they're being asked or sort of mandated, I guess, to go through all 180 standards in one year, and they're doing it in this very sequential way, not really worrying if they get it, but just moving past because they got to do at least one a day. They've got to get through that much. They end up kicking certain areas of the curriculum to the back. A lot of times this ends up being things like telling time or geometry, something that can feel like you can just do that at any point in the year. We'll get to it when we get there. And a lot of times they don't get there. And what can happen is that over like multiple years of time, multiple teachers did that. Multiple teachers skipped through the standards or the curriculum, and the students never got that skill. And you wonder how it is that there's an eighth grader who can't tell time or that doesn't know how to do a formula for a triangle. Well, it's not because they couldn't have learned it. It's because they really were never exposed to it. And the issue is not that there's too many standards. The issue is that the teachers were told, you've got to get through all of these in one year, whether the kids know them or not. And the permission that I was given by that first supervisor and headmaster is something that I held to deeply, which is I would highly, highly prefer our students to run through less individual standards, but for each one of them be able to show mastery and depth. So when we do these 6-week units of investigation, it's not just about making sure that we get through all of these facts and figures and topics, but it's that at the end of the unit, the idea is that the student and the learner were able to spend a lot of time connecting that learning to their life, completing projects and activities that they'll remember, that have this emotional component, whether it's presentation or art or collaboration, that sticks in their mind. And then the information that they learned is held years later. It's really common to speak to one of our former graduates and make it very easy to talk to them about all of the projects they did because there were these experiences related to them. And on the other end, if you think about your own childhood and when you were in school, how easy it is to forget even full books that you read or entire years of the curriculum because you were never really given an opportunity to understand it deeply. And it wasn't your fault. It wasn't the teacher's fault either. The teacher was being told that if we don't get through this, you'll never get to it. And eliminating that artificial pace in exchange for the compromise of giving every student the opportunity to learn until mastery is something that I think is a critical component of true learning, of a love of learning, and what we do at ISLA.